all over the country. Be assured that my government will stay fully engaged and provide all necessary support in achieving that outcome.
The First Lady, Madam Fatima Bio, inside in hands of our girls campaign, rape na one of the things them where he say he go focus on. One thing where them be make clear now where rape case them can delay na court, but with this new court, one of the doctor them where can go serve as witness na court, Dr. Olabisi Claudius Cole, say them hope say change them go dey na the justice sector.
We not even begin 2020 cases then yet forget evidence, so you can imagine. So with this court now, I know say a lot of the cases then go push forward and we'll be able to address and bring, perpetrators to justice, let the victims themselves get peace of mind.
Dr. Olabisi continues say, even though the Rainbow Center glad for this special court, his self-raised concern say, now only 2 doctors them can go testify for victim them. And say he hopes say, more trained and qualified well-body workman them will come on board.
It's going to be challenging, it's going to be time-consuming, but I hope that in the next few weeks we're going to have a few more female doctors and trained, and doctors up in the provinces. We're going to also serve the one-stop centers, and so we're going to have a lot more doctors involved.
But waiting Human Rights Commission and lawyers think about this new step for address rape.
It's something that they will itself. I can't cut 2-3 years on one case. We want to make sure say the case then they do 6 months, 1 year. Not only are we excited, but we want to see how it work. And we want to make sure the justice now does not fleet or no more is speedy and efficient, but across the country. So, laudable venture. We look forward to seeing what happens with convictions, what happens with speedy trials, what happens for the victims, and whether in actual fact this will actually help to tackle the fight.
I'm Patricia Nasu Danema, the chairperson for Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone. It's a laudable venture, and the Human Rights Commission very excited about them because say this also not a rights-related issue. We don't see a lot of situations where cases of rape or sexual penetration, they report them. We know they see better responses to that, and we also they see say victims then they go unhappy with the way them cases then treated. So now this situation we don't see it's going to be all over the country. And with the system, it will really bring about change.
Where it be they talk about the one-stop center, where the Ministry of Gender Affairs be set up for rape case them. The president say in government go train qualified well-body workman them, where go then at the one-stop center, for say then gather enough evidence them, where the court go use for give justice to them victim, For the Society for Radio Democracy, me, Nawani Gauja.
Alright, the program Good Morning Salon, they continue, and we continue for look at more issues in the program. Safety for fishermen them, we can go fishing a concern for the Ministry of Fisheries, as the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources get responsibility and mandate for supervise all fishing vessels and boats them, for CC and follow regulation them, where the ministry gets. But this BNTM, one fisherman been go fishing and not come back. And this will make the Ministry of Fisheries introduce more measure them for ensure say the safety of all fishermen then in the country. And according to the Minister of Fisheries, Honorable Emma Kowajalo, say the semi-industry vessel them for make sure say then they observe crew list anytime where then they go fishing. Well, Saptuka Longemo on this issue and go report.
All fishing activity of fishing company them, they under the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources. As na the Ministry of Fisheries na the direct institution where they supervise all operation of different type of fishing vessel and boats them. And for make the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, but they get exact information, tell them where fishermen they can go fishing. The Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Emma Kowajalo, say the Ministry of Fisheries they put new measure them where all semi-industrial vessel them for falla as in for make sure they then get crew list and other thing them anytime they go fishing.
Now go ask observers for day now each semi-industrial vessel. Number 2, we now go ask the semi-industrial vessel then to get VMS on board. Number 3, we now go ask for now we get crew list of all crews them where they go. Now this crew list in as much, but we see and say if there was no fisheries, if no boats not in our sea for go fish, then people are no need for they for go do that work day. So as long as they go do that work day, we see and say, let we take the onions, put it under our purview, well, let we make sure say those that they go na the vessel them, elect na every quarter because they change them very often. If you go in not perform, you know work or you sick or whatever, then they change. Let them go they update we, let we get them. And once then they send them, then we'll get a list of who they send, who come back, who not come back.
This new measure them from the Ministry of Fisheries come after where one fisherman, James Bendo, be go fishing and not come back. James Bendo be the work na the Red Sea Fishing Company as fisherman, and inside March this year, he be go fishing with one of the fishing boat of the Red Sea Fishing Company, in company workman them and 2 Chinese them. But he no be returned from this fishing operation, and this matter be reached na the Ministry of Fisheries. From that time the inside March to now, the Minister of Fisheries, Makowajalo, explain wetin dem do with this information reach them and who stage this matter dey now.
The missing person not been there. Even to the extent say, now then in colleagues and then Tawasi, they know they go back na see until they see that then company. Had that not been the case, probably then we don't go back, we don't even know. So with that, we now all decide to say, okay, it don't happen. Say up to this time from we in March to now, we'll not see this money. Search been followed. I know the search herself from the family side and the colleagues then. When I then company crew members then say, then self the search not been come as soon as possible, immediate. Then still do the search. And as the search, I see then they do the search. The neighbor for come up with no evidence of saying the man either don't drown after fly or something else wrong with her. No. Waiting basically the search will come out with say the neighbor phenom. So assumption is if that search probably been done go earlier than before, maybe. The same vicinity, they never don't come up with something.
After the Ministry of Fisheries and other body them, they don't search for the fisherman James Bendo and they not see him, the Ministry of Fisheries be meet back with the late fisherman in Fambulem and a representative of Red Sea Fishing Company, when at the company where James Bendo be the work. And the Minister of Fisheries, Makowajalo, say, though they're not glad for waiting happen, but the company and some family member them, we don't get to an agreement of compensation.
This man are they alive, we expect say by now, we don't see, I don't surface. But having said that, we, as a ministry, we still classify him as a missing person, missing at sea. How do we move forward? The family then come with a suggestion. That suggestion, the representative of Red Sea, Mr. Tambi Bindea, himself take him on board, say they go back to the company and go put the suggestion there, so that they go try and put a closure. So he can go back to the company, and we don't come back to this ministry, and we don't get back to the family members, and that we can gather have. And as a ministry, we don't do nothing in isolation. We don't do nothing undercover. We do openly so that everybody will know. Reason being a Sierra Leonean like us. It could have been my own child. It could have been anybody else in your picking a city.
John Tambi Mansaye, a manager at the Red Sea Fishing Company, he first tell us to the late man in Wef and some family member them will be the part of this meeting and talk about the humanitarian compensation where the Red Sea Company they make to the family.
Ties with the family, because now companies are man, you know. Let's make this thing they make, because we will work with them Chinese and they when I say go to look like say we know the fed for border, yeah. But sometimes you know to say it can be. But with the big the family there, and they see easy understand this small thing not for money. For long I go meet the family then, and I will do something Sarah for the family with the big on behalf of the company. And go talk to my company and say the first money will me give, and I look worth it. So let me tell you back, say, for go back and come back. Then we can meet the minister back and meet them back. So well, we don't get all that thing back. So the thing that work out back, we can present back again. Then the second one again. So that so far so good. So that we give this to Yema Bendo at humanitarian to take care of the picking. Yeah, so we don't count. We don't get 30 first. We don't count 20. Then it's still small. For add more 10 million. So the president don't declare and final. We'll count them back.
Yema Bendo na the wife to the late fisherman James Bendo. He be tell thank you to the ministry and other people who intervene and make the able reach to the stage.
I tell the ministry thank you, I tell my Khadija thank you, I tell una all thank you. What you now do for me, so I'm not going to pay you. God bless you. So I tell you, God, I tell you when I tell you my way, when I'm journalist. So God bless you. So God, what you can do so. Then God guide us for you.
after the wife and some family member of the late James Bendo, when I be fisherman and go fishing no come again, but don't reach to the stage of compensation, the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Emma Kowajalo, and say the Red Sea Fishing Company for make sure say they follow the decision where the ministry don't take. Also, they don't tap the Red Sea Fishing Company not for the go fishing. For the Society for Radio Democracy, me Nasaptiyu Kalon.
Right, the program now Good Morning Salon, and they come to you from 98.1 FM. Today in the studios, they celebrate press freedom. Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act. Now, one with plenty people we believe say not good for democracy because it is suppress freedom of expression. Government after government, don't they say, then go pull this law come out from the salon law books. Inside President's bill in campaign manifesto, it be promised for repeal this law again. This process starts after we president win the election. At some point, this bill go to parliament, but 3 months after, then be withdrawn because of procedure. Well, finally, Thursday, July 23, history be made in this country. Usai almost all the members in the parliament been agreed for make them pull Part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act. Well, this now been victory for particular journalists in the country. Well, inside the studios this morning, like I say, they can celebrate press freedom. Now the program, I want to start with Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi, which is after a commot study come back. He been take up this challenge for make sure say this particular law be repealed. He join with other civil society organizations them enlarge and fight hard for make this law repeal. Inside the studios again, I want to welcome. Firstly, I welcome you, Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi, because plenty time people are not going to celebrate to say process starts, now the end product they can celebrate. But for we don't in the profession and we know don't they follow this, no say you play a great role. Good morning and thank you very much for all what you don't do for this law.
Good morning, Asma. Good morning, listeners, and thank you very much for recognizing me a little role I play.
All right. Well, at the studios again, we want to welcome William President Ahmed Said Nasrallah. Winner president of the Salon Association of Journalists. In football, the person who can score, now can make the name. Where after all the players they don't play, according to Chelsea man, so they take Drogba as example. Where people like you don't pass the ball and give Drogba, definitely Drogba can score. And the end product now really matter. And Said Nasrallah don't be part of Sludge for long term. And president after president again don't try for repeal this law. But under in leadership, we don't finally. This law don't finally remove now the law books. Ahmed Said Nasrallah and your team, thank you so very much for all what you wanna do for make sure say this law come out now the law books.
Thank you, Asma. Thank you, people of Salon. Thank you, Sludge.
Well, Mr. Minister, now a pleasure for get you now the studios because I remember now the campaign time where when they get airtime na 98.1, they talk about the manifesto of President's bill. This now one of the things they want to be they talk about. You don't be, I think, one time Minister of Information. Now, at some point where they grow up, na school. For a big college, all must be you back for the months where you make particular way cancel there one day. And finally, where you talk about President's bill in manifesto, where particular way cancel this, you can again make more say this law with the repeal them. And Friday and Thursday we still say the jiggy jagger is smaller parliament, but in the end. Might be a victory. Good morning and welcome.
Yes, family on the morning. I'm glad for dinner.
So tell me, as Minister of Information, we start with you, Mr. Minister. Would they cancel you, Lord? They can't take this short break because no one gets a break. As we say, we'll get party this morning, courtesy of Sludge inside the studios. Would they cancel you after this break? We Lord make some money and can continue the program.
I'll let them begin bringing it.
All right. Well, they go for this short break.
Salon Commercial Bank don't come with new banking products them for make life easy. With Million Online Bank and Million Mobile app, you can able for use Salon Link money transfer for send money to anybody elect you not get bank account. Transfer or receive money na the same bank or any other bank. Transfer money to person or office elect you not get the account number. Buy Edsalite pay other bill them, and now get advanced salary. You no need for worry again, but almost money dey na you earn. Because you can able for pay for things the way you buy in a supermarket and other shop them with the quick response code payment. Yagba don done for we boss man them. With Beyond Online Direct, you can upload salary, pay all you supplier them, sell forex to Salon Commercial Bank, and watch your account anytime. If you need the app, download them from Google Play Store or any Apple Store, or go na Salon Commercial Bank website www.slcb.com. Sierra Leone Commercial Bank, delivering value.
Commercial Bank.
As way for help people the way they do small thing for survive, and then one the way they run place like cinema all for manage their life during COVID-19.
The Anti-Corruption Commission get what say people they go around a Kambulto area now Watalo they take money now people in hand, especially women them for register they forget about 1.5 to 2 million loans.
The Anti-Corruption Commission will make all man know say the money where World Bank and government of Salon they give for help people and then Temia now 1,309,000 loans.
If anybody ask you for money for register you, or if you been don't give money to anybody back, call ACC now 515 or report now the police station where they near you.
Make sure say you not give penny to anybody for register you for get money where World Bank and government of Salon give for help people them during this COVID-19 sick. This message come out from the Anti-Corruption Commission with support from World Bank.
Corruption. All right. Well, we continue the program. 8 o'clock now the time for most studio clock. This question they go for on all before we can look at the program proper. But so you, Mr. Minister, how we feel like for deliver on promise?
I feel very excited in the true tradition of we leadership, talk and do. I remember like when you talk about intro, we've been the campaign, the president then candidate retired Brigadier Julius Madabiu been talk say a win, they go repeal part 5 of the criminal and libel laws. They talk about that one day, 1965. They talk about when you talk about, but people then say it's not possible because governments then year in year out they use them for suppress rights, freedoms, and particularly go after political opponents. They say, look, even though I mean are the most libeled, I mean are the most insulted, I mean are the most framed for all the wrong reasons, I really think say we need for do this repeal here for make this country better, for take in place among other progressive democracies in the world, right? So, a charge more that responsibility will win the elections by appointing the Minister of Information and Communications. A charge more the responsibility for make sure say that commitment, you know, I know but people that during campaign they make promises, but when it came to President Bill, not to promise they make a commitment say it will repeal part 5 of the criminal libel laws of 1965. That was what he said. And so he charged me with the responsibility. This being a year of delivery, I mean, I feel very excited for not able to accomplish it one day.
Okay.
But I know somebody asked me yesterday, say, well, if they want to move me on to other things now as well, I will be very, very excited. Any role where I get for playing. But the important point is, I'm not being kind of Ministry of Information and Communications just for carry repeal criminal libel laws. There are a myriad of other challenges in the ministry.
Okay.
How they confront them head on.
All
so
right.
I'm very excited. I want to use this opportunity for congratulate His Excellency President Bill for bringing trust and confidence into politics. Because people do not believe politicians for the most part. I understand. Year in, year out, politicians they promise for make bridges even where there are no rivers. They know they keep promise. He has kept this. And the biggest pressure we don't face since becoming since becoming Minister of Information and Communications, now from President Bill. Yeah, every time they ask me, where are we with the criminal libel law now? Okay. Where are we? As far as on cause. So that has been the fuel, that has been the basis of the energy, that has been the basis of the agility we get for pursuing this thing.
All right. Well, congratulations to the government for that. Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi, I don't know you for almost 20 years. In all of these years, you don't defect for the repeal of this particular law. You travel out, in and out of Salon, for make sure say this law be repealed. Sitting there and listening since where the process starts to Thursday, where this whole thing finally be history. How you feel?
Well, I mean, you know, it's just like Mandela said, it's a long walk to freedom. 20 years, like he always joke with my colleagues, and I say, 20 years of my life was committed to media freedom. And few days ago, without being boisterous, I said, it looked like this is a beautiful way for end my engagement on the campaign for media freedom, not just because the criminal libel law don't come to an end, but also because the Freedom of Information Law get passed in 2013 by the former government. So for me, I feel really accomplished. I feel like, as not just for me, but as an organization where I'm in the lead, the Society for Democratic Initiative, will make freedom of expression, freedom of association, freedom of information part of our core programs. And it took us a long time, but we're finally here. So we feel very, very, very accomplished. We feel very pleased that we will be able to partner with SLAG and the ministry, various ministers. I mean, like we, the minister say, we as an organization don't see a lot of ministers under the Ministry of Information. We can write a whole dossier on that, on people's attitude towards reforming the law or repealing the bill. We don't see several SLAG presidents starting from before IB Cargo, and others. And so I think it's really, really good for our democracy. And we think this is not something we forgo to every one of us. I mean, it's not just about SDI or Minister Abdullah, it's about the work of the ministry, the tenacity of the ministry. Even when we go, we hit the brick wall, he said, we're going back. I remember where I was very angry when we go to the man. He said, no, Mamadi didn't turn up. He said, oh, they come back. He said, this is something we're going to do. And, and also SLAG, they have never wavered. They've always been there with us. Sometimes we disagree. We and them will fight about, how to go about it, which approach for take, but we have worked together. And I think everyone deserves to be praised. The members of parliament will rally around this, will realize finally that it's time to get rid of it. I think we're very elated. And we thank government for actually pushing this and the president for taking this. Once you say you go do them and you do them, and we think so. We think so. It's a box ticked already.
All right. Well, thank you, Emmanuel Safa Abdullah. To you, we own President Ahmed Said Nasrallah, the monk. Like where we say, it all started with Umar Fanana be president. We see Usai be left in here, say until they repeal, go bab. But be able for Duam, but the campaign as so can they be they go. Any side we say for rally BNM. Kelvin Louis Cam himself start But at the end of the day, under your leadership, we see the repeal of this law. Sitting at that hall, because I remember how they can jiggy-jagger in a SLAG forum and all. But finally, we see this law repeal together with your team. Them, how you feel as president leading the journalists in this country?
Thank you very much, Asma. I think a wonderful feeling, an amazing feeling. You have to describe. I feel good pimples at the parliament. I feel all over my body. And I don't even believe this thing will happen at this moment here. Yes, and like Safa say, it has been a long journey. We're talking about a 55-year-old law because we're almost 2 years. And it took SLAG about 49 years with advocacy and prepared for this for able to achieve this year. And I just want to give God the glory and. That we're able to achieve this under my own tenure as president of SLAG. And I also want to take the opportunity to tell everybody thank you. Because it's a collective fight and a collective achievement and victory. So everybody needs for praise everybody. And I also want to tell the SLAG members thank you for giving me the opportunity for Saturday and make sure that this thing will deliver and do it in tenure.
All right. Well, they can go to the program now proper, but I will start with this message. Rado went to Parliament to deliver journalists and the people of Sierra Leone what many thought was destined to be a white elephant. Cabinet ministers and parliamentarians grilled him almost to his bones. But ultimately, the same parliamentarians accepted the fish was too sumptuous to discard. I am calling this repeal Rado's grill. Congrats, Rado, from Solomon Jamil.
Thanks, Solo.
I was just thinking that
part of getting us to where we are. Thank you very much, Solo.
All right.
You are part of this victory. We work together on it.
All right, well, we continue with the program.
All right, the program Good Morning Salon, they continue. Now we come to the program proper, although we're still in the celebration mood. I'm going to come over again to you, Emmanuel Safa Abdullah, as the co-presenter been stated earlier, we been begin talk about waiting be make people them like una been champion the fight. Say this particular part of the 1965 Public Order Act been supposed for commodity because it be they criminalize libel. People we've done the explain all along but why parliamentarians then really supposed to pull this law. But the understanding to some set of people being just not did. Explain out to people why una been sidom and look say this particular part of the law for commodities, just like how it happened sooner.
Thank you very much, Mabel. So the first point is democracy say people forget freedom of expression. In as much as we say part of the freedom of expression getting limitations, you not go defame people, but the media and citizens for able to participate in governance by talking, by engaging. What the Public Order Act been do is that it put a criminal sanction, criminal penalty on freedom of expression. What means the journalists then been afraid, what we call it, shield the journalistic space. Then afraid for right, maybe if you miss something, then get for arrest you, then go jail. And we get for recognizing the process that a lot of people then don't go jail because of this law. You get people like Paul Kamara, you get Sheikh Atarawali, you get Olo Gordon, you get Philip Neville, you get David Tambayo. So you get a host of journalists then with this law don't arrest. If you arrest one journalist because he writes something and because you disagree with them, it means that the other people then within the journalistic space then afraid. And so what you've been saying and what in the whole world don't say, not just we, what in the world say, they criminalize libel, they criminalize speech. When somebody make a reckless statement against you, way not to two, you declare and go in a civil court. The civil penalties then boku. Firstly, the court can ask them for apologize or for pay you fine or for retract the story. So now that will be said. That's in the first part. The second part is that the media, when you look at the criminal libel law, they just punish the journalist. They just punish the person who write or who make the speech. They also punish the vendor, the person where they sell the paper, or who say you print them. If you remember a couple of the instances where I don't mention, they not just arrest the journalist, they arrest the person who gets the printing press. They arrest the vendors, then where they go distribute the paper. What in that they do is that they reduce investment in the media because people are afraid say, if I put money in this newspaper or in this radio station, then the journalists then mistake, then say something against government. They can't arrest me. And a lot of people know they invest in the media. A lot of people, now I make you see people they say, oh, the media is very poor in Sierra Leone. Oh, the media not get professionals because people in the run away. The real people who don't go study media and journalism or in a university now, what they don't they look for PR jobs. They go become PROs in other jobs because they don't want to get problems with the criminal libel. Then another thing we actually say we don't want criminal libel anymore. This is not old law. I mean, I just the last 3 days that they do an article where I call them, a colonial relict. This is not a law who inherit from the colonial masters will make them in 1965. And the essential objective of criminal libel now for ensure say people are not criticize government. I mean, we don't pass that level there. If you look at the amount of newspapers, the radio stations, waiting we all the reports now is done on Radio 98.1, you hold government to account. Say libel not get space anymore not the books. And if you criticize government, if government been say or various governments and be say they implement or enforce that law, like most of them don't go jail 5 times, 6 times or 10 times because the law actually say you then go arrest you even if what you they criticize government for not true. So that's not one of the major problems. Truth itself can be inquired into, but cannot be a defense. In fact, throughout the statement, the more libelous it becomes, and then you get the seditious aspect of it. You get the issue of false news. And so for this law common at the law books of Sierra Leone, I think it's just great. Other democracies, them even the country who inherited from people like countries like Botswana and Ghana, every other democracies, then don't realize it. This is a very bad law, and we need to move forward with that.
All right. Continue for the with Emmanuel. The program now Good Morning Salon. Like I say, we guess this morning they enjoy with first of all sludge with tea. Okay. I can't tell you, Mr. President, Sludge Ahmed Said Nasrallah. Now Emmanuel don't explain why this law been bad. And plenty people still get the understanding say now freedom for make the media just begin right or defame people them. Will not be one of the easy that they will make. Maybe they afraid for the repeal of this law. What you go do now after going forward with this law for make sure say waiting people then they say not to so it be when it comes to practicing journalism.
Okay, thank you very much, Asma. Make I just say, buttress the point that Emmanuel just gave about why this law is a bad law. This law is the only law who they call say they give pre-trial detention. They don't find you guilty before they even hear you case. And the only law is they presume you say you're guilty before they hear you case. You find out say all over the years for the past 10 or 15 or 20 years, the practice now that when they arrest the journalist, the CID they invite journalists go now, and CID by the time they lock you up on Friday. The past usually weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So Sludge get to intervene. So when they put it on ourselves, we don't put a huge burden on Sludge. So we're not going to give again now CID give a good release journalist there. You know what I mean? Now you get the responsibility now as a journalist, you step. So like you say, in terms of going forward, what we need to do as media people there. This is not a process. From when you start, my process, which of this right now, my process still, and beyond now also a process. So whether they don't pull the law, even with the law being there, we still get issues then of reckless journalism, of irresponsibility where they have been. So the law for pull a law does not mean anything. But what it means for we, it means say this is not an opportunity for we for aspire for become professionals, more professional, more ethical, and ethically upright, and also we try to be patriotic to the country, making sure the media continue to play the crucial role in democracy, because we're very central to that, and for make sure say we hold government to account, hold institutions into account, and also contribute to the development process, and make sure we give people the correct information with the need to make informed decisions to affect their lives.
This freedom where the media don't get so now one way the repetition of people them now outstanding thing where plenty people again be don't they say then journalists them if they give them this freedom, the repetition of people them go there at stake, it will be threats for especially people them way hold big positions them way at times you can all for be accountable but not one for can talk with some media can go ahead and do it in they want for do and not reaching out to the people them. Now we don't get this freedom as journalists now the country, and you are the president currently for the Salon Association of Journalists. Also, you want to start in terms of ensuring that people in repetition not there at stake, even though we go for the enjoy the freedom of expression.
Maybe thank you. Even with the lobbying day, even with the lobbying polite, you know, say people may still get issue with the public may still get issue with certain journalists, a small section of we membership they will they assassinate people and character, blackmail people and accuse people wrongly. So you can still there. And put in the assurance who they give now going forward after they don't pull this lawyer, and have to get the safeguards. The safeguards even that same day with the lobbying day. We also get like Safa say, we also get the civil libel law. We equally a deterrent. Because in now the only way they pull from you now the criminal aspect of it. But now the possible way you feel say the media don't do a bad thing or somebody don't do a right button or a bad thing, they gonna court. Then gonna also go there, gonna argue in a case. If they win the journalist then they ask them for pay compensation. And they're not going to stop there. They also get the option to make you retract the story and apologize. And when they apologize and retract, you know, only they do one like your own publication. You always say they go pay now other publications there for make them pull out. So like go far and wide. So now enough safeguard would they. Apart from what you will get inside Sludge as the disciplinary committee and the Sludge code of ethics, and what in the IMC self get as the IMC code of practice. And the new bill, the new act with the strengthening now, the new IMC with the strengthening so now. So there are enough safeguards for assure people and say then repetition they intact and a good name they intact. So also feel day for journalism for aware about that and make sure say going forward they aspire to become more professional than before.
All right, continue for the way at the studio. Ahmad Said Nazgala, the president for Sludge. We will continue with the program. They take short commercial break and look at more issues in the program this morning.
Better don't come. Now Union Trust Bank again. Union Salon Banco. Union Trust Bank get plenty product and service there for you. You must get what you want to go better you. Like we savings account, current account, fixed deposit account, it dey. Credit facility dey, all for you. Me and you, me and you. Union Trust Bank, na salon for me and you. Kids future savings account, it dey. School fee savings account, it dey. Pay advance salary scheme dey. We branch and they all up but na salon. Boko no kenema, we dey. Kabalama bogo kakambia, we dey. Jala Freetown Lone Star, we dey. And my 91, me and you. Union Trust Bank, me and you. Union Trust Bank, Union Trust Bank, na salon for me and you. Union Salon Banco, Union Trust Banco.
Union Trust Bank, empowering Sierra Leonean businesses.
The program Good Morning Salon, they continue, and we still get to see the guests. Them at come over to the Minister of Information and Communication, Mohamed Rahman Soare, will be in Tina before from government angle for ensure see part 5 of the 1965 Public Order Act come out now the salon law books them because it be the suppress freedom of expression and they criminalize libel. Well, Mr. Minister, now finally this particular part of the law don't come out now the country in law book. And as I've been talked earlier, it can get for do with repetition where people and don't they forget. Una then na the government part and whatever you go see, na politician them. And na una na the people and way plenty people they don't they feel say go make this law not pass because una go they forget say something and go all on to account to an extent where una not go agree with. So as a government, una been get like any fear at the back of una mind where una be don't make the promise and ensure say una fulfill at this stage. Una been get any fear for say sometimes if we get the journalists their freedom, it will go for affect una back at the end of the day.
Well, government, now society to produce government. The same society now, they so we don't see how, for example, I'll give that example say of we presidential candidate now president. Now one person now they would write all kinds of but now one person would then call all kind of now one person would then bring all kind of disrespect to most per lie, right? So we clearly know say yes, I mean this has been very challenging thing, not been difficult thing, and cabinets have been get reservations there. Of course for very legitimate reasons. This is not accomplished people there, we don't work all in life, they don't make their reputations there, they don't build their name there, and so all. So, not a decision will be taken lightly, but, the president, Naposi, once they don't make a commitment, they won't let it happen. We discuss them in and the ifs, the buts, the apprehensions there, then everything then bring out to the table. So you find out, say, that being quite a difficult challenge for even make your colleagues to understand, say, number one, where we repeal part 5, no means say, na blank check for journalists and they forget now, forget unprofessional, forget reckless, and for go to the gutters. We keep pointing to the fact, say, even under the existing legislation, it still gets safeguards for members of the public. We cite the civil defamation law of 1961, a day. Thank God, Abdullah there. That one, under that one, there are no Boku people there, private citizens, that don't seek redress using that law. And when I know a very, very senior journalist, one of their occasions, and then can go and try under that civil defamation thing, then fine and 30 million a pay. It also been get for a chapter. And I've noticed one of the things that we responsible journalists there, I know they say papi show journalists there, professional, responsible career journalists there, for retract not quite some big thing now and for them. They don't take it lightly. So yes, they may get for tell a person they like retract now 5 or more newspapers, what they do, right? So that one in a one window of opportunity will open to members of the public. The civil one, you can go, you get them. So apart from now, you get the Bankruptcy Act again. When a law will be already in existence. This is not President Bio bringing that law, it already be in existence. As a professional, because I know Boku people, then they say journalists there, then poor, then broke, the men of straw, they not get nothing. You can then go, if you go win, then say they not get nothing. Well, if you get close, then can 5 feet and whatever you get. But ultimately, if you not get nothing, then go declare a bankrupt, a certified bankrupt person, and by that token, you're not able to practice any profession or regulated. For example, you're not going to be journalist, you're not going to be lawyer, and in fact, you're not going to hold public office. any serious professional no other than they happen to her in the course of a career. Right? So we think say that is good enough. Apart from now one day, then you come to the IMC.
Because I just want to ask you, say, in this repeal, we see una give strength again to the Independent Media Commission.
Yes, we'll do that.
Yes, so how this somebody, if you go defame policy, for example, what's the role of the IMC?
Yeah, so the IMC, one of the things that we don't do now, we're already aware say people then they go through difficulties, for get justice na court, because the courts themselves overwhelmed and get boku for do, so delays then can they. So this new law, they make provision, they give slide the status, they give the IMC disciplinary committee when they sit for look into cases there, they give them the status of the High Court. So that means then able subpoena person appear before them and do them thing in the all. A person feel then give ruling, person feel agreed, you can refer to the High Court within 30 days, hopefully you go able hearing from.
But now so it be done the day. Where then go complain you.
Explicitly stated so.
Okay.
Now very explicitly stated, expressly stated there. So this is a new way to go. We think say this one, the important way to do is now access to justice issue as well. Not to all my will take lawyer, not to all my will be then long delays. So you can at the IMC, then go do that one day. So we think say this is another window we open to members of the public. We feel libel, we feel aggrieved for seek for get justice. Apart from that one day, mechanisms then get for the the new law they say look, if you na person we want to be editor going forward, right? You forget a university degree, at least 5 years experience, or a diploma, a radio station manager, or a diploma or 10 years experience, right? What's in under the mean? We believe say with that this now people then are gatekeepers, important gatekeepers, then role as editor, as radio station manager. If you're able to get a reasonable ability for discern what is good for the public, what is good for this, what is good for that. So believe say a combination of education and experience will able help you make the critical decisions, because society they look forward to the media for the most part when the media is at the best of times for set the national agenda, for do this, that. So if we bring every Tom, Dick and Harry for can't do that, that is a problem. So things say even that filtration process, now one way that one they forget the best people then for big gatekeepers. We'll not talk about for practice. So for practice, that one day na editorial responsibility. The people that will get the paper there, then go the management decision and then go take whether they want like if you want to get report away pass to tell you what tell you what happen after I don't write report, let you talk out and begin to transcribe, and that's a different problem. That's your problem. But we they say the person will get for be the final gatekeeper where they authorize waiting for go out for able get a reasonable degree of discernment, if for reasonably able to know what's good for the public, and then that make put a huge burden on them.
Okay.
So another one. The other one, we don't in an era we're dotted by attack, defend, and collect journalism, coasting, yellow journalism. Yeah? Now key hallmarks we don't dominate the media landscape for the longest time. Proprietors there of radio, of the media generally, they take people then get employer contract, but the only thing whether they discharge, then just give you an ID card. Go into the world and fend for yourself. This is how you go there, you get family for look after. Now attack, defend, and collect journalism. In the coast, yellow journalism, blackmail, and all that things they come in. So under the new law, we don't make express provision say anybody will employ somebody for work for you in the media, like in all other spheres, there is automatically an employer-employee relationship. That means you therefore be subject to paying the minimum wage of 600,000 leos, because as per the last Finance Act, where they pass in the Parliament, where the Minister of Finance pilot, now 600,000 leos. But I'm also aware, say in labor law, they get to what they call better conditions provision. If you know say the person qualified, it is that, you can get a better, don't commit any offense. And you also make sure, say, you pay you pay NACIT for her, and pay e-tax. Why would they insist on anything there? One for make sure, say, journalism is a career. What people they don't practice, they don't give of their best. By the time they retire, they still get some pension for look back to, something for look back to. We know say journalists they don't give their very best to this country at the prime time. We don't do all three. Yeah, veteran journalists they now cost they still the cost. Sadly enough, this is a shame. We don't want to continue this. That's what we done. They know not call we new direction. We got for be we got for be a breath of fresh air, which is what we seek to do by this law. I don't very ignorant comments there. very, very, very ignorant comments from people then who not even follow the debate in Parliament, who not read the bill, where they talk, say the law will repeal, they will take away from the other. This is so ignorant. I want to encourage whether you're a journalist, you're a social media commentator, do you spare that few minutes let you read. Let you read. When you read, you're able to know say the only thing who will not give slack and the journalists there na a ticket to heaven. Because who say no get that?
All right. Well, continue for day between at the program. We can know the difference between this then journalists and now and the now like citizen journalists. This law or if ever go able for control them. We can't talk about that and they will make some small money we'll go able for pay the journalists there.
Confusion. But this confused me, boo. Look where Uncle Nat in Wall Solid. Look him block them with them beat for him, where they save solid. And at the same amount of cement and sand that they use for beat me on. But look what in the happen. Me wall down for them, all the block they all don't scatter. It like say some kind of magic they behind this. You want to know the magic behind this? Now the superior quality, extra strong, extra life and extra yield cement we are the use, and that's not Dangote 3x Portland limestone cement. Dangote cement na the highest grade cement in the country. When a 42.5 R grade cement, when no one day come na this country, and one of the highest grade pan cement where you go get na the wall. Where you want you concrete, wall and block solid, use Dangote 42.5 R cement, you no go regret them. You go get Dangote 42.5 R cement na online shop and building material store na the one whole country.
Rokel Commercial Bank don't make a de waka with me bank na me phone. Rokel Commercial Bank don't make you de waka with you bank na you phone. Them been come with SIM copper and now they don't increase the facility. For sure say na them na the Alagba from banking business na now they don't come with SIM copper plus. They don't come with SIM copper plus. This service go allow you for send money to person where they salon anytime you want. It no matter the mobile coming where you there. As you send me go get some quick one. What's nice inside salon you there? The money go reach you. It no matter if you there na the east, west, north, south. So secure then you go na Google Play Store and search for the app. SIM Copper Plus I say download them. Follow the instructions and register your device. The process no long now if you reach 2 minutes. When you done the bank go send message na your phone. For confirm say na your phone number bang bang. Enjoy e-copper and more facilities. SIM Copper Plus e come for we all. You dey na city or village just na salon you dey. You e-copper go reach you dey. Heads up top up safe now they under the facility. With e-copper you can cash out your money from any local commercial bank agent or branch all around the country.
The program Good Morning Salon, they continue with a look at other issues now. The program outside the Minister of Finance, Jacob Jusu-Safa, say government don't add 1.3 trillion loans to the 2020 budget for improve the condition of living of salon people after where the coronavirus go down at the country. Jacob Jusu-Safa talk this na the well of Parliament where he been delay the 2020 supplementary budget where government go use for implement development program them from July to December this year, with the theme Saving Lives and Protecting Livelihood. Musa Kamara gets more and go report.
Saving lives and protecting livelihood. Now the theme for the 2020 supplementary budget, where Member of Parliament them don't approve for government budget spending from July to December this year.
I report that the bill entitled the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2020. I now move that the bill be read the third time and pass into law.
The Minister of Finance, Jacob Jusu-Safa, say the additional budget where government don't add pan the 2020 budget now for help address the economic challenge where the country they face now because of measures them where government been put for fight the corona. Where all this, according to the minister, make government add over 1 trillion loans to the original 2020 budget where na be 9.35 trillion loans.
This supplementary budget seeks the approval of this noble house to reprioritize some of the budgetary allocations in the original 2020 budget. In view of the foregoing, total expenditure on net lending is revised upward by 1.3 trillion to 10.5 trillion in the supplementary budget from 9.35 trillion in the original budget.
308 billion loans from the supplementary budget
according to Jacob Jesus Safa, they go on the well-body sector for help and defense against coronavirus.
And an amount of 308 billion is allocated to the health response intervention, including government contribution to the operation of NACOVAC of 200 billion, ambulance operation 26.6 billion, mortuary services to 20 hospitals 16.4 billion, and laboratory and X-ray services 65.8 billion to all government hospitals.
298 billion loans on microfinance, 15 billion loans support to state-owned enterprise them, where Corona don't unbug them work, like the Salone Airport Authority, Salone Postal Service, Salpost, Salone Road Transport Corporation. But 300 billion loans on the free quality education, all they part of the 2020 supplementary budget spending, and some pandemic funding now from the National Microfinance Monafa Fund Program.
An amount of 298.3 billion is allocated to the implementation of the QUAP. These include allocations for support to small and medium-scale enterprises, 2 dedicated credit facility and microfinance scheme of 50 billion. Social safety net of 50 billion, comprising cash transfer and full assistance of 20 billion, and bailout of state-owned enterprise of 15 billion. Agriculture 90.7 billion, of which food production activities are quoted an amount of 70.7 billion. The sum of 115 billion is allocated to the payment of outstanding obligations under the free quality education program, covering second and third term fees, first term fees for starting September, procurement of teaching and learning materials, and core textbooks. An amount of 167.9 billion is allocated for first term school fees, teaching and learning materials, and diet for body home for 2020-2021.
Infrastructure na the water sector, light, road, and other one them stand for gain plenty pan the supplementary budgets.
An amount of 198.9 billion is allocated for the rehabilitation of city and provincial township in Western, Central, and Eastern Freetown, Waterloo, Bo, Bang, Kedema, Kaila, Matu, the Yifin Bridge, the completion of the Tiama Jala University Road. The energy sector is allocated 172 billion for the next 6 months for the electrification of 7 district towns: Kabala, Kambia, Kailan, Moyamba, Pujan, Bond, Matu. An amount of 146 billion is allocated for the next 6 months for the filter water supply project, burnt water supply system, and 6 towns of Kambia, Kabala, Mogroka, Kailan, Moyamba, and Pujan. In the water sector, an amount of 146 billion is again allocated for the next 6 months for filter water supply improvements, burnt water supply system, and 6-town water supply, including Kambia, Kabala, Mogroka, Kailan, Moyamba, and Pujol.
All this, according to Jacob Jesus Safa, this supplementary budget now one of the best, and think say member of parliament them for clap for in ministry and government we go make them waka comot na parliament with them aid up. And this now one way the head of government business, Honorable Martin Yoma, been support we make a been surprise we MP them the first pan the mic for debate inside the budget presentation, as he expects say member of parliament them for just accept the minister in talk like hallelujah, amen.
What do you want to debate really? Tell me, what do you want to debate? What do you want to debate?
Mr. Leader, why are you jittery?
Let the leadership sum up the debate.
2-2, Mr. Speaker. 2-2.
Political
line. All political parties.
The member of parliament for constituency 38 from Makeni City, Honorable Saliu Usman Sise, where they represent the opposition All People's Congress APC party, they among the MP them where be hold the mic for talk inside the debates, as he believes say the budget not address the issue of bread and butter, where the Minister of Finance he always talk about, where make the bread and butter issue don't look now like the other name for the Minister of Finance. Now so Honorable Saliu Usman Sise been bill in premise and draw in conclusion on this matter.
Mr. Minister, whatever praise you use, all what we have used to is bread and butter. We will not forget the word bread and butter. So to whatever budgets you bring to this parliament, we expect that budget to answer the bread and butter issue. We are talking about bread and butter, saving livelihood, and you allocate 3 billion to food production, and then 33 billion to tree planting. I think if we assess and analyze that, it is clear that government is not giving priority to agriculture. The bread and butter is very key.
Honorable Dixon Rogers of constituency 100 from Pujaun district, where they represent the Salon People's Party (SLPP), disagree with Honorable Saliu Usman Sise.
When you talk about livelihood, bread and butter is blended in that livelihood. And when you use livelihood, it's beyond bread and butter, Mr. Speaker. That is the reason why when we come back to agriculture, there is very huge investment in that particular ministry.
The Paramount Chief Member of Parliament from Kalaun District, Honorable Matilda Yayo Mina, called on the Minister of Finance for Sise, farmer then get the machine them where he say government don't buy, because he say then they get plenty challenge for get machine for do them work them and then farm them. And after the different view them, Member of Parliament them being give green lights to the budgets.
Honorable members, the question is that the bill be read the third time and passed into law as amended. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
As the Minister of Finance, Jacob Jusu Safa talk na Parliament say, inside the next 3 months, government go begin do the thing them where it talk inside Parliament for sake of the supplementary budget. People hope say this go be for the Society for Radio Democracy, Musa Kamara.
All right, we continue with the program. Good morning, Salon, and we still get with studio guests. Them, we come over to them. We get the Minister of Information, Mohamed Rahman Soare. We get Manet Safa Abdullah, and we also get Ahmed Said Nazrala. Now, when they come to you, Mr. Emmanuel, the law where plenty people they afraid for because of defamation. Now say the journalists they don't get their field day. We don't get education higher or no, not to so it be, but that it make provision for other law them. So what's gonna be the difference, or what's the difference between civil law and criminal law, and why people for use the civil law instead of the criminal law?
So, thank you very much. The fundamental difference is one are civil, the one are criminal. Now, when you talk about the criminal libel law, now the state versus the journalist. So you look at when you say somebody don't violate the criminal code, it actually means now the state in law where you put now you don't violate. So now the state resources now who they use, now in the government they use for prosecute that person. And if you're in a society whose side the resource is very limited, you will say, well, why the state not go put that their resources then they per other cases, particularly where we get a lot of backlog cases, but you get a lot of cases where the law officers get for deal with. Why the state not going to use the human resources where they get now the law officers, the young and brilliant lawyers, don't let them do other pressing issues like rape, like other robbery, that's one. But the second part of the criminal case is that once you go court, now you then find you guilty, you go to jail. The person where you defame, you not get for compensating for anything. Most of the times, the state law say then go fine you or you go jail, and the fine they go to the state. What you would say is, if I write something bad about Asma James, and Asma James, now if for me go court, when I in the civil aspect, you say this person don't lie for me, it don't damage me reputation, it don't defame me, and therefore your lawyer go court, the way the minister been say early, we argue the case, and the court go look at me. If you say Emmanuel Safa Abdullah don't defame Asma James, he will tell me for take certain actions. One, then go say pay Asma James 10 million. Now that is compensation for destroying or damaging your reputation, which goes to you personally, and not to go to the state coffers. Yeah? The second part is that the judge go retract them, and I think Monk make the point very clearly. It's a go retract the story in the manner in which you publish them and put them on other papers them. Now they go to your company papers them or media station and just say, "Want to publish this for me?" Maybe you could, but you get for pay for them. But also, what they do to the media house when you in a media, say if you retract story once, twice, you readers they begin lost faith in you. people not going to begin listen to 98. It's every morning there is a judgment where they say, when I retract that story, people will be saying, but 98 is not credible anymore, because then they retract stories all the time. The journalists are not prudent enough for check. So journalists don't like retracting stories. One of the biggest punishments where you give a journalist not for telling us they retract the story. And people know, if people are not to buy you paper, not to listen to you, you're not get readership, you're not get followership, you're not to get advertisement. That itself is sufficient enough. The other thing is apology. I don't write something about you, want not to damage you. Say, go apologize. Oh, Mrs. James, I'm very sorry. My story was wrong. I will not do it again. You know, that's also the demean you as a person or as a media institution. So that are the fundamental difference. The difference is them. The criminal libel, you and the state, and a punishment where they make you go jail. Sometimes they among say pre-trial detention. Whereas the civil libel, now you and the individual, they go court, and if you prove them well, you get compensation, you get retraction, you get what they call restitution. You restore your image. You not going to restore your image completely, but you go tell people and say, that thing will be right, but Mrs. James, it's wrong. And people will be saying, oh, okay, we're not looking in the bad light, we'll be looking anymore.
All right. We'll come over to the president, Ahmed Said Nasrallah. Now, the benefits of this law now, we can now in making, which we call, we don't hear you now, they say, now they make people invest in the media. How?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, what in this law don't do, you don't unshackle the media. What do I mean by that? You don't free the media. The media be in chains, because like Safabi said earlier, law will get a chilling effect on the media. It limits generally the limits your right to freedom of expression, and for the media it limits your ability for whole government to account and all public officials to account for expose corruption and for contribute to the democracy. But now, what they don't put now, it give the media the freedom for practice without fear of going to jail. Number one, and also if you see what they don't pull on, they can't attract investment now. I'm not going to happen now, instantly. Like I say, now a process. For repeal the law, now a process. Who's out with this right now, now a process. And going forward, now a process. But now ideally, the would expect say it will open up the media to more opportunities, including private sector investment going forward. And also beyond that, we also feel say women they will come out of the profession now and they can aspire for leadership positions there, because no jail time not again.
All right. Well, we will come back to you. Mr. Minister, they come with this. I know say there is a cyber law going on, or the draft time, but this law, it gets in anyway, because we don't see say this law, I believe, say not to be for journalists no more. But we don't also see say the social media now, the citizen journalism now, they don't so boku that they affect one way or the other the traditional media in way it comes by defamation. But the people could just say journalists in general. This law in any way the all people of that kind and they're responsible.
The other law, the pilot through Parliament this week, with it on the other paper already, the Cybercrime Bill 2020. But that Cybercrime Bill 2020, it addresses most of the issues there. People then, where they sit in the comfort of their homes, abroad, they threaten the peace, stability, and cohesion of a country. That law, they make clear prescriptions for them. They also see them picking and child abuse, pornography, online this, all lengths in the way they work against a sane and sober society who they battle with the cybercrime bill, they take care of their issues. So that one they did in the other paper, I think it's on a Friday, will they appear and begin the process. So because this year, I don't know, so this year the power be non-tag and the year of delivery. So this is going to go beyond delivery on the repeal of Part 5 of the criminal libel laws. Will also they put in place the necessary brick and mortar arrangements then for make sure say anybody will do that in there, the law they will catch. And more importantly, this lawyer will put them together with support from the Council of Europe, when our EU, an European funded group, Glacy Plus, and ECOWAS. We'll put this thing down together. Now they send then do experts, then fly in 5 experts then there. We'll spend 5 days in Radisson Blue with my team, Attorney General's office, for put the boats and knots together for this law. That specialized legislation, so we get that technical support as a result of one of them trips they take abroad. So anytime anyone of we travel abroad, will they bring executive outcomes. When I know maybe the president made the travel, otherwise this country might have shut down during this difficult period. So we get that technical assistance, they put them together. What's that the significance, apart from writing the law? What done the law, the thing will go happen now, would accede to the Budapest Convention, who accede to the Budapest Convention, would domesticate the Malabo Convention, but the Malabo Convention, I'd like to explain small bit for this. I didn't want to go for bring me law talk about this. So accede to that one, that means we can now able benefit from international cooperation. So if somebody sit down abroad somewhere, if they make rudeness, they threaten the peace stability of this country, we get to right now for leverage that international cooperation today, for let they either repatriate you, for let you face the law, or back home outside they do that, then able to
so
all of these things are in the offing. And in the next few days, we will make substantial progress. Parliament says being very, very impatient now. They want to remember when I did it that day, then read her out. Yeah.
So now take into consideration the fact again, say when I don't give people freedom of expression, commonly this law again we get to do with cyber offenses them way you just explain so and not they conflict each other.
No,
we give person freedom say
all.
talk what you want for talk, but yet
rights they go with responsibilities. Rights not to blank check. You cannot get reckless simply because you get right. You cannot threaten the peace, stability, and tranquility of this country because you sit down now the comfort of some place. Yeah, you're not going to do online child pornography. We picking them particularly at a time where government don't take the most stringent measures against rape, sexual penetration, and for protect women. Right. All lengths in there. But this today we'll go in that law will not come for one day. Ask for law and bring me in and go parliament.
Because if you understand this law in a whole. But Emmanuel, the country thinks you need a cyber law at this moment.
When you talk about cyber law, you get a couple of issues. You get cyber crimes. People where they hack into people's phones. People where they basically undermined the state insecurity through cyber hacking. You get people where they undermine or interfere with mobile telecommunications. One of the things we're making always caution as a freedom of expression activist and say when we pass laws, the effect where they get sometimes can be different in 10 years than what it gets today. We're pretty sure at the point when they passed the Public Order Act in 1965, a lot of people thought it was necessary because it was a one-party state and say, it was time to hold the one-party nation together, the journalists, and they undermine the security. So we have to, I would just urge the minister that we have to be careful so that the gains we don't make, me and the minister, they talked this morning and we're laughing. He's 49 years old and he don't repeal a 50-year-old law, 55-year-old. So the law was there before him. And which is really very historical, So law will be careful of how we make these laws, and law will make a lot of consultations on them so that people, there are a lot of experts outside of the bilateral expertise where EU and others then they provide, so we can make contributions to it. I agree that citizens have to be responsible in what they do, but to the greater extent, citizens have to hold governments to account. They have then therefore, express themselves in a way where, public officials then go no say, it's not business as usual. Also, one of the things where I go urge the minister, and I think we were going to talk about this, but now that I get the opportunity, I get to talk about the Freedom of Information Law done passed about from 2013. The regulation done ready. Then they serve low-hanging fruits for law on the table and before Parliament, who will make the law come into effect. That's something that I would want to work with you and with the Right to Access Information Commission for law will take down this forward quickly, and we will get conversation, because all of these actually they show now see as a country we have arrived. We've delivered on most of the international conventions, and so with the cyber law we'll come to that when the draft is ready. We'll critique it, we'll sit down and get an engagement and ensure say these gains we don't make in the last 1 week, we not lost some overnight.
We cannot. They don't get anything for do with each other.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, this government like very constructive criticisms. Yeah. The law we refer to the regulations, they're inadmissible as SIAM, but I want to see the level of extension of consultation. Because it's a public policy issue. They just go sit down an air-conditioned office and say we don't get regulations. I wanted to see the level of engagement, public discourse, and this, that. So a minute and back say, let them give me evidence the consultations were held. So as with the cybercrime bill, will also be now begin stakeholder consultations, but will subject them to one more review before taking to Parliament. So I'll be talking to you.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Minister. The MENA Right to Access Information Advocate, NAMI facilitates most of the consultations the way they hold on the regulation. In fact, NAMI drafts the regulation.
Okay, so let's take this out of
so that was exactly. So
yes.
there was extensive. I hope we'll just move this forward. Thank you
for
making that known.
We can take it to the next level.
Yes,
no
thank you.
That they bring me to the other studio guest, Nawena Ahmed Said Nazgala, the president for the Salon Association of Journalists. As he said, me attest to the fact, say even though the bad law been still in at the book, then the journalists and the way been still the practice, within the call reckless journalism, and now we don't see a repeal of that part of the law, and we don't get a new IMC Act. How you as president of SLAJ, they prepare your mind for ensure say the thing them where they inside the new act, where they come back up the other laws them where the people them really stick by them and continue for do professional journalism na salon.
Okay, make I start off with because after they repeal this criminal libel law, I see one or two sides there on social media, some people they say they don't repeal one law, they don't make the IMC draconian pass.
That's not true. That's not
this
true.
This is not public radio, and I believe plenty people listen now. That is not true. SLAJ participate fully on the issue and all we concerns them, because what to do first, we get a meeting with membership first. All the concerns we get to go through the bill, one page by page, clause by clause. We take them on board and we go to the minister in the office, we present her. Instead of getting team, we say, go to back page by page, clause by clause. We're going to Parliament back. Privilege to committee, we sit down with the parliamentarians there. The parliamentarians then go the privilege, we feel like we're an MP there. We sit down there, now we all do one together, clause by clause. And at the end of the day, the day we then pass on the 23rd. 99% of what we want as journalists there for the IMC, for this new IMC Act here, all things they take on board. It's not the truth.
So just to add on this conversation, the criminal libel, you not get a parallel legislation as Sierra Leone.
Exactly.
Let nobody not go mislead anybody. The criminal libel, now they say, if you write, say, money lost in a government ministry, even though the money lost not to a defense. Now, it means, say, when you find you guilty, you go to jail. We don't see journalists and don't go to jail. The IMC Act does not do that. The IMC Act, basically, they say, they can fine you if you libel somebody, and you need qualified journalists then for be editors, and it puts safeguards around. While, with paying salary and NACIT and other taxations, while a lot of journalists think, say, then conditions are very, very high, in a standard way high, and if it will be lowered so that they will get what you will call, the right to entry into the space. But in a criminal libel, they're completely different. Then nobody not mislead anybody. There is nothing in the IMC Act where say journalists go jail. Nothing in the IMC Act where say they go arrest you and detain you over the weekend like they have used to do. I can say one thing, and Monk was saying that in the few years that I have been a lawyer, and when I say a few years, it's over 10 years, I have been called by SLAJ president over 20, 30 times in the morning or in the middle of the night. They don't arrest with journalists because I provide legal aid for journalists. And that will never happen again because we don't have that provision anymore. So they're completely different.
Okay.
Yes, and to the IMC, the way you talk about routine, the IMC don't get power of enforcement now.
Okay.
Like the minister say, now you get the quasi high court power. Who then get right for some money for camp for candy, they what they call. And now a self-regulation platform now we say that SLAJ dominates the commission. now they dominate the chairman, even though we're not here to say the president can appoint him, but now we dominate over 6 people in the commission. So now we own body, and we're not going to put body we can regulate and can pull out of business. Definitely.
All right. Okay.
So within the space we want, and I hope say journalists then going forward. This is now the goal now for make sure say the media develop and how we reorganize and consolidate and restructure we media institutions then and the way they do business and professionally.
All right, we'll look at few messages before we done the program, even though not much time not the on his side. It's good, Mr. Minister, you have started the discussion on the cyber bill to be enacted. Presently, we have the bill in Parliament. We have to do extensive consultations and ensure it will serve the good of all. Thank you.
All right, this other one says repealing the criminal libel law is a welcoming news. Journalists and media owners should, however, don't celebrate too much because there is a tougher IMC Act that has replaced Part 5.
All right, Saidu Zito on Facebook say congratulations to the entire team who made this possible for repealing this law, especially Mr. Minister and Monk Said Nazgala. We are proud of you all.
All right, this other one say, I am supporting any movement that will add value to the field of journalism in Sierra Leone, but the journalists must be watchful and make sure they keep people's reputation in check whilst doing their profession.
Good morning, Radio D. I love this program so much, from Ture Usman Fode on Facebook. And few more say, Mr. Minister, thank you very much. Indeed, talk and do governments. Many thanks to President Bill. This one say, I remember some years ago when Emmanuel used to talk for this criminal libel law. Finally, it has come to pass. These are the kinds of CSOs we need in this country. At the end of the day, you see results. Another message where I go look at inside the program say, thank you so much, Ahmed Said Nazgala. You just made my day this morning. This morning, by the way you speak, I hope journalists will now practice responsibly. As opposed to journalists who will have their license suspended or ordered to do retraction on their newspapers, what happens when an ordinary citizen of grudge and who is not a journalist decides to continually defame another person and does not have a dime to pay compensation or damages, but still decides to do it over and over again with malicious or criminal intent? Don't forget, the IMC Act only deals with media practitioners. The last message where I go look inside the program say, thank you, Rado. Thank you, Rado. God bless you all. Ahmed Said Azgala, you are the man I love so much. Thank you so much. And Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi, God bless you all in the studios. Well, I think one more praises would end final word. But Emmanuel, somebody, I don't know if now you go read, go rectify this or talk about this with somebody they make mention of ordinary citizen. They continuously malicious person or
thank you, Asman. I'll be around for take that question. The civil libel not talk just about journalism. Yeah, you not talk about journalists. If you defame me, you know, ordinary citizen, you put something on social media, even without the cybercrime or cyber offenses act, or whatever it's going to be called, I can bring an action against you, because whosoever you put that message there and publish, you publish them. And the law say when you publish, I can bring an action against you. The same civil libel law wave in the Koromao, where the ECOWAS as vice president been bring action against the journalist and win them. Now the same way you can go court. In the same manner, the court go say like you retract them, like you put them maybe in a 200 Facebook groups or 200 WhatsApp group, and or you compensate me. So the law not just about journalism, and this is not something where I be one for reiterate. One of my first cases what I do in 2009, 2010, and I've been when a city member of parliament bring action against civil society activists, them, Francis Fortune, Golo Kata, James Lahai, because they publish a report about elections in Binti. And that's the case that we won against the honorable member of parliament then. But interestingly, not to be journalists then. So when we talk about criminal libel or civil libel, not just about journalism, it's about anybody where they write, academics, it talks about citizens, anybody where they publish anything in a public forum.
All right, thank you very much. Said Ahmed Nazgala, last wrapping up word.
Yes, okay, let me start by let us acknowledge the contribution of everybody, from we founding members then of SLAJ, to the victims then, Paul Kamara then, Jonathan Lee then, Tambayo then, Bisnatuna, and also the past president of SLAJ, Kelvin and Umoro, and specifically to His Excellency the President, Brigadier Julius Madabiu, for the political will we provide at this time. For make sure this thing we complete. The Minister of Information and the Deputy and the team, and in Parliament who finally make the law. One for say plenty thank you to now work all the MRCG, the CSOs there, SDI there, SAFA there, and the international community and the international press organizations, and they all contribute. One for comment people who do this, especially the president and the government and the parliament, because we who hold them to account, we don't do bad. If we equally get for comment, they wouldn't do something good. We recommend it because then they motivate them to do more. Because now you don't do this one. Now we can focus your attention now to the CRC now. See, this is now that good thing you do for salon. They do one. But it's not mean say now we do nothing again. We don't to account. We don't to account back. When you do something bad, the bit about to account and try to make sure say you conform to the.
Thank you, Mr. President. And indeed, the MP they be really do well on the program. Mr. Minister, wrapping up.
Yeah, so I want for tell the listeners then plenty thank you. And like I say, to President Bill for the show of unprecedented political will, for repeal a law with sitting governments they not ever want for touch, not even with a badge pole 100 miles long. We don't do this well. This is bravery and courage. We know say, the journalists themselves will reciprocate that goodwill. So what's after the repeal? I want to use this opportunity first for tell plenty thank you to Parliament. I know say, but for them it would have been difficult, even with the best of intentions. So to the Speaker, I want to say plenty thank you, Dr. Abbas Chernobundu. To the Chairman Legislative Committee, I mean he proved waiting at the true meaning of public service. From morning to 9 o'clock, he sit down with the logo. And it gets became bad day that the call so he puts out he couldn't go there. That is making public service take over. I want to tell plenty thank you to lawyer Hindolo Geval. That was a show of real leadership. To Honorable Cherry Coco, to Koto IB Kagbo, to all of them. They acknowledge say they come, they try, they not be able. They did not have as much political will as I have. We don't able to do it, and then very pleased. So to the other journalists that will be not go before, we don't struggle, we'll get message for them. But I will make we share that message after we meet with slide today. So beyond the repeal, we remember say we need to get an investment conference on the media. So that private capital will call people there now say your money is safe, it's secure, it's put under the media. Then I want to go work with other parties then. We'll see how we'll do that one day. Then of course we'll get big capacity building interventions that we'll do after the repeal. Because we promised it. We're gonna make sure we'll do each and every one of them. God bless you.
I think the next thing now for law repeal the whole Public Order Act. You're not going to just begin for repeal.
No, now they will talk about that.
We'll get for looking into
that. Now they're not going to win that.
I'm just saying it's the same 1965 old law, obnoxious and draconian.
One at a time.
So we move to the next step.
This is Oliver
Next step for civil society.
Many thanks, gentlemen. When I joined the program this morning, Mohamed Rahman Swari, Minister of Information and Communication, Emmanuel Safa Abdullahi, and Serve the President for SLAJ, Oyena Ahmed Said Nazgala. I think on the program this morning. Many thanks to the production team. Michael Sambola and Alex Lawrence Kroma produced the program. DJ Lava will give you technical support. Moses Kavura and Franklin Pemagumi can still be live on Facebook. So till we meet again, Mabel Kabade say get yourself a wonderful day.
Ask my James to say goodbye.